Hello, I'm here at Embedded World 2025 on the DigiKey stand, and joining me today is Maurice O'Brien, who is the Strategic Marketing Director for Sustainable Automation at Analog Devices. And today we're going to be talking about sustainable automation and the current trends in the market. So Maurice, thanks very much for joining us again. It's a pleasure to have you back. For those who haven't seen our interviews before, why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Excellent. Well, first of all, it's great to be back here with you, Paige. So Maurice O'Brien, I have been with Analog Devices for about 23 years. I worked in various product roles earlier on in my career. I worked on power management, industrial connectivity, and more recently I'm part of our sustainable automation in-market, where I'm really focused on ADI strategy, vision, product roadmap to enable the digital factory of the future.
Fantastic, and we'll chat about that in a minute, but for those who don't know ADI, can you give us a brief intro to the company as well?
Sure, so Analog Devices is headquartered in Wilmington, Massachusetts. It was founded back in 1965. So ADI's vision is really around bridging the analog and digital worlds. So our technologies are really focused on sensing, measurement, compute, power, and connectivity. And ultimately, we're investing in next generation technology to empower the intelligent edge, and specifically for automation to deliver the digital factory of the future. We have approximately 75,000 products, and we serve over 100,000 customers. So ADI services the major areas of industrial, automation, communications, and consumer.
Fantastic, and you mentioned the factory of the future, so let's start with that. How would you define it?
So when we look at the digital factory of the future, I will break it into three distinct areas. The first one really is around advanced automation. So here we're talking about the deployment of robotics. We're looking at more autonomous machines, and then we're looking at how we bring those various assets together, increasingly with more decentralized control. So bringing the control from the PLC down closer to the equipment. That's the first area. The second part of it, I would say, is around connectivity. And increasingly, it's even more hybrid connectivity. We see the continued deployment of industrial Ethernet for that controlled wired network, but we're also seeing private 5G networks being used as part of this hybrid connectivity, and often for mobile assets like mobile robots or maybe sensors that are very remote and difficult to access, we're seeing 5G private networks being deployed. Thirdly, I would say it's around sensor fusion. You know, part of this digital factory of the future is we have to deploy more sensors across all these manufacturing assets and use the data and the insights from those assets to really drive that productivity flexibility.
And how is this drive towards digital transformation reshaping sustainable automation?
So data is the foundation of sustainable automation. So the more data we have access to, the more we can identify bottlenecks in manufacturing. We can look to use that data then to drive overall operating equipment effectiveness. So digital transformation really is the key to unlocking that digital factory of the future, because that foundational data is what's required. And ultimately, we're trying to take that data and transform it into insights that can then be used to drive, let's say, continuous process improvements that will bring this digital factory of the future together.
And what role does edge to cloud connectivity play in this in these industrial systems?
Yeah, so again, as we mentioned, data is key. So we have to get more of the data that resides within the manufacturing assets onto a more converged IT, OT network. So that edge to cloud connectivity really is that umbrella of how we're trying to bring more of the manufacturing assets onto that network. So for example, last December, I attended a Manufacturing Leadership Council meeting in North America, and one of the presenters there from SESME talked about the fact that he said that 80% of US manufacturing assets are not on a network. Wow. So there's still a huge opportunity to drive digital transformation, to drive more connectivity and that edge to cloud connectivity on those manufacturing assets.
Yeah, it's a big number, 80%.
Only 80% are not on a network.
Yeah. So how is edge computing, edge computing is a buzzword here this week. How is it evolving to support real-time decision-making in industrial environments?
Okay. So when we think of any industrial manufacturing environment, what's absolutely critical is that real-time decision-making. So the approach of, let's say, taking some data, pushing it to a cloud or to an on-site server, doing some computation and waiting for an answer to come back isn't going to work.
No.
As I talked about bringing more manufacturing assets onto this network, the only way we can scale our kind of solutions is to bring more of that intelligence, that edge compute down towards the equipment level. And that then enables more flexibility because it's easier to, let's say, reconfigure an individual block rather than trying to rechange all the code for the PLC for all of those various blocks. So.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like energy and operational efficiency seems to be the key benefits of these smart connected factories. Mm-hmm. So can you expand a little more on the connection to industrial sustainability?
Yeah, so again, all of my answers, they always start with data. Data is that foundation. Again, by having more access to data, we can identify in a current manufacturing flow where there's bottlenecks, where there's potential improvements. It's that data that will drive this continuous process improvement, because ultimately we want to get to a goal where we're reducing the amount of energy used to produce an item. And secondly, we want to reduce the amount of material waste, because often with sustainability, we all tend to jump to the electricity consumption, but the other part of sustainability is actually the material waste. So data and using the data, transforming it into insights is what we will use to really drive that energy efficiency and that reduced material waste.
And how is the demand for more flexible automation, impacting strategies?
So I would say flexible manufacturing automation is driving more of a re-architecture of how automation is being deployed. So here is a good example of where robotics are playing an even important role, a more important role. So we're seeing more deployments of collaborative robots, mobile robots, and even humanoids increasingly, because those robotic solutions provide a lot more flexibility in terms of being able to reconfigure them for a different product SKU or for a different use case. That combined with the kind of decentralized control and edge compute, that re-architecting of advanced automation in terms of robotics, decentralized compute, bringing those together is what's really unlocking that future of flexible manufacturing.
So given all you've said, what role does analog devices play?
So analog devices plays a central role in all this. Again, as I said at the beginning, ADI's role is to bridge the digital and physical world. So, our technologies are fundamental to enable this future vision. And I would say, our technologies are evolving where, we're providing more than just silicon and chips as we would have done in the past. We're providing more subsystems, particularly in the area of robotics, be it wheel drive subsystems, machine vision subsystems, or navigation subsystems. So yeah, we as ADI have to evolve to help our customers.
And you mentioned flexible manufacturing sort of as a trend at the minute. So can you expand on that some more and describe the role of analog devices, in particular for flexible manufacturing?
Yeah, again, it's like the last commentary there is, when you look at ADI traditionally, we've always been seen as that chip vendor, that silicon chip vendor. Our customers are pulling us more to take on more of the burden that they see, because they have to redeploy their resources to even other higher value areas. So increasingly our customers are looking for us to provide not just analog and digital, but software, platforms, modules, more embracing open ecosystems in terms of how we provide our software so that it's more easily integrated into their systems. And ultimately by ADI providing highly differentiated subsystems, it enables our customers then to accelerate their deployment of their technologies, and together, as part of this broader ecosystem working together, we're all accelerating this move to the digital factory of the future.
I'm interested to hear what future trends you see coming down the pipeline when it comes to sustainable automation, say over the next 5 years.
Yeah, definitely we're all very excited about AI, and AI clearly will transform manufacturing. From an analog devices perspective, we're really excited about AI at the edge. And we talk about the edge, it's like where the data is born. So it's at that sensor actuator. So again, it's back to that commentary of we can't scale manufacturing if we keep pushing all the data to a centralized server or cloud. So for analog devices, we really see the opportunity to drive that AI at the edge, drive that real-time decision making, and use those new insights and data to really accelerate that digital factory of the future.
Wow, an exciting future ahead of us then.
It is a really exciting time to be in automation, and huge amount of technology, huge amount of change. Yeah, there is a transformation happening at the moment, and ADI is helping lead that transformation.
Fantastic. Well, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, so thank you for coming back.
Excellent.
And hopefully see you next year.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you very much.